Hello, and thanks for joining us once more on India on 99.9 for the home of cricket audio. I'm Nikesh Ragani, broadcaster, journalist, and commentator based in the UK. And my co host, Sarah Warris of Wisden, journalist over in India. And we are here to talk all things Indian cricket. And Sarah, you've got a smile on your face. I'm bouncing around this morning as well. Because we are here to talk about India versus Pakistan at the Asia Cup. And well, I won't be sarcastic and say surprise, surprise, India won again. Because in the Asia Cup, it's more of an even record. But it was a massive game. There was so much hype ahead of it. First game of the competition for both sides. First game in this particular group. And it was a pretty tight one in the end, wasn't it? It was. I mean, how were your nerves sort of waking up yesterday and all the build up and everything? Because I saw some of the build up shows from Star Sports over here in the UK as well, and there was a lot of hype. Even the previous day, actually, before the Sri Lanka Afghanistan match, all they were talking about was India versus Pakistan, which was a little bit disrespectful to those two sides. But so much hype and so much expectation. And it must have been a pretty nervous place over in India yesterday.
Yeah, you can say that Sri Lanka was playing that match. Afghanistan played the opener, but Asia Cup, it's India Pakistan. Like, you wait for India Pakistan matches, whatever opportunities you get, not being disrespectful to other teams, but it's just another moment for India Pakistan. And everyone kind of was, yeah, okay, other teams are playing, but it's India Pakistan. And the build up was yesterday after the match, there were firecrackers being burst. And I'm very happy that I predicted three matches for India Pakistan. One will be a close game, two easy wins for India, and yesterday was a close win. I'm hoping the next two are relatively easier because at the end, it seemed an easy win at the halfway stage, but after that, it could have gone either way. It would have been very devastating if India lost in the end because for most parts, you were like, okay, India is winning. But yeah, good to get it out of the way.
And where did you watch? I mean, I'll tell you where I watched. I was working yesterday. I was commentating on the 100. I'm currently in a hotel room in Birmingham and off to Nottingham today for another double header as well. So I had it on my laptop and I was commentating. But to be honest, I was watching my laptop more than I was watching the games in front of me. It was obviously India Pakistan. It was exciting. Wickets were falling early on in the Pakistan innings, and then sort of they put on some partnerships, but they never really got going until the end. And it was just enthralling viewing all the way through, despite it looking like India were quite comfortable, as you say, at the halfway stage. Where were you watching? Do you have like a routine when it's big matches like this? Do you watch on your own? Are you one of those people who just needs to be on your own and it's too stressful watching with other people and
Yeah.
all that? Or do you watch with family?
I watch on my own. Unfortunately, in Lucknow here, I'm not from Lucknow originally, but so I don't have a lot of cricket friends, so to say. So I watch on my own because if I watch with people who I know aren't too much into
Mm.
cricket, their
Yeah,
comments and their criticism, unnecessary criticism, will just get to me, and I'll be like, nothing. Just wait. Just let it
yeah.
be over. So I like watching on my own, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
peaceful that
that
way.
is the best thing. I mean, it's difficult watching, even with people, to be honest, who know
Yeah.
their cricket but might not know their Indian cricket or their Pakistani
Yeah.
cricket, and they're talking about certain players, and you're thinking, no, mate, you don't know what you're talking about. Just shut up. So I do like watching on my own.
Yeah.
I don't mind watching with my dad when it's a big game because we're on the same level, and we've watched together for so many years. So unfortunately, we couldn't do that yesterday. But you mentioned the firecrackers. I'm from Leicester. I live in Leicester in England, and you probably know it's a bit of a mini India in certain parts of it, and big Gujarati community over from India and via East Africa many years ago, etc. But they always close. There's a road called the Golden Mile where it's called that because there's so many jewelry shops and sari shops and all that. It's mainly the jewelry shops. It's called the Golden Mile, a big long stretch of Indian shops, basically, restaurants, everything. And they always end up having to close the road, the police, and they do it quite, they don't complain about it. They're quite happy to do it. Whenever India win a big match, usually against Pakistan, but, even like World Cup finals and whatever it might be in 2011, 2007, all that, any big game, they close the road because everybody just streams out of their houses. It's mostly Indians who live around there. They've got the flags out, they've got the dolls out, they're
Yeah.
climbing onto traffic lights, they're celebrating, they're standing on tops of cars, waving flags. And, I got to see, I wasn't there obviously yesterday, and, being here in Birmingham, but I got to see images of that. And it's great to see it all around the world. I'm sure there were similar celebrations from some of our listeners would have witnessed around the world in places like maybe America and Canada and various other countries around the world where there's big Indian communities. So it's great to see, isn't it? Just what it means to everyone, and not just in India where you are, but it's a big thing, isn't it? Because people have got Pakistani friends maybe in England. People like me, I've got colleagues who I work with. There's one in particular who is a big Pakistani cricket fan who I work with on the BBC, and it's nice to get one over on these people, isn't it? In a good spirited way.
Especially, yeah. Yeah. Especially yesterday's win, for so many years, India Pakistan kind of been one sided matches. Even when Pakistan won, they were pretty one sided. Last year, it was a 10-wicket win. So, this match, after so long, we saw a close match, so to say. And, that nerves, the last over nerves, and then Pandya just being Pandya. It was, that all of that just added to it. A one-sided win would not have been that that exciting maybe, but as Rohit Sharma also said, I would rather have these kind of matches than these wins than a one-sided win. So I think that close match added to that even more.
Absolutely. And just before we get into all the details of the match as well, just a reminder that 99.94 is more than just this podcast. Jared Kimber, of course, has Red Inker that focuses on deep issues within the game. There's also Double Century, a look at the history of the game, and other podcasts from other countries on the network as well. Listen to West Indies on 99.94, best Caribbean coverage you can get there. Of course, you've got our podcast, which you're listening to now. And don't forget to comment and to subscribe to our podcast as well. And leave comments on YouTube. Contact us on social media if you like as well, at Nikesh Rugani, at swaris16, with any questions, anything you want to maybe talk about in future episodes, as well as England on 99.9 for South Africa as well, looking at the radically changing nature of cricket in the Rainbow Nation as well. And you can find them all on your podcast apps on YouTube or via the 99.94 app. Right then, Pakistan, 147 all out. I mean, firstly, to get them all out was fantastic. I know it was just one ball shy of the 20 overs, but it's a psychological landmark nonetheless.
Yeah.
I felt that it was probably 10 or 15 more than they should have got. And that was obviously thanks to a bit of a flurry at the end from Haris Rauf and Dahani as well, with those quick runs. And, Rauf, what did he finish on? 13 from 7, Dahani 16 from 6. Their chief contributor was Mohammad Rizwan at the top of the order, but 43 from 42. Babar Azam 10 from 9, didn't do too much damage. Bhuvi removed him early. But let's talk about Rizwan and Babar's approach at the top of the order, because so much is made of the Indian openers and their approach in recent times. But you look at their records, and we talked about Rahul, obviously, first ball duck yesterday, but his international T20 strike rate is over 140, which is very good for anyone. Whereas if you look at Rizwan and Babar, the runs are there always, pretty much. I know yesterday Babar didn't, but, generally they're so consistent, but their strike rates aren't great. And yesterday it showed once again with Rizwan. Okay, he had to play an anchor role after losing a couple of early wickets, but 43 of 42, you've just wasted, at least 10 deliveries in that. It's not good enough, and Pakistan will probably rightly be critical of their approach at the top of the order yesterday.
Yeah, and I was also looking at this one stat where Asif Ali, he scores a 6 every every over, 6.1 or 6.2 deliveries every over. But he has just batted bats at an average of like, 5 balls per innings. So again, that approach by Rizwan and Babar Azam is worth questioning. If you have a player like Asif Ali in your ranks, then if you're hogging up 42 deliveries, that 7 overs for just 43 runs, and Babar Azam yesterday didn't get going, but then if both of them are batting 15 overs also in a game and then leaving so little for the rest, for Asif Ali or even the rest of the middle order batters, it's again, yeah, worth questioning if that is the right approach. It has worked for them in the past, but will it work for them in pressure situations when you need to go after the attack, or when the target is a little on the higher side? So yeah, that's. And Asif Ali yesterday walked at number 7, I think. Shadab Khan batted above him. So again, is Pakistan misusing him? Honestly, I've not been very I've not followed Pakistan cricket very deeply, but I've just these stats and seeing where he batted yesterday again makes me question: is Asif Ali being utilized properly by the Pakistan team?
And Bhuvi, 4 for 26. There was concerns, weren't there, going into this Asia Cup? No Bumrah to lead the attack. Who's going to make those early breakthroughs? And, we've got one man who can do it in the early overs, in the power play, and at the death as well. His name is Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and he's turned up once again against Pakistan. I mentioned it in the previous podcast about his record against Pakistan. And 4 for 26, outstanding stuff on any day.
He was on a hat trick also in the middle, which was, it would have, we were all hoping he gets there. Unfortunately, not to be. At the innings break, he said that there wasn't a lot of swing on offer, so they went to the short ball bowling tactic, which worked wonders. Even Hardik Pandya then started bouncing out the batsmen, and it's Bumrah is not there, but then with Bhuvi, okay, he is there. He is the mainstay. And with Bumrah now coming back, and Arshdeep also, I've been very impressed with Arshdeep. He was a little expensive yesterday, but overall he's been very impressive at the death also. And now with Hardik Pandya finding form, India's pace bowling department looks scary for the opponents, and I can't wait for all of them to be together and play.
Absolutely.
In Australia.
And Arshdeep, you say there, and Arshdeep, you mentioned there, 2 for 33. A little bit expensive, but he got taken apart in his last over. I think that went for 11 runs, that final over. He did get the wicket in the end of Dahani, but it's just tail-enders swinging from the hip, really, and it can happen to anyone. But as you say, very impressive once again. Hardik with 3 wickets himself, Bumrah to come back, maybe Harsha Patel to come back. We'll see what combination they go with. But it was all about the quicks, which was interesting because we've watched IPL in previous seasons. We've watched the last T20 World Cup, and it's been quite spin dominated, and that's what we were predicting going into this particular competition. And it might well be the case as it goes on and as the pitches get worn a little bit more, that will be the case. But it was the quicks from both sides really who did the damage, and it just goes to show that India have got more than just one trick up their sleeve, haven't they? They've got all bases covered. And just looking at the team selection in terms of the bowling, were you happy with the combination initially that they went in with?
Yeah, I don't mind. Irrespective of the pitch, you can't leave out. Obviously, Bhuvi is there. Avesh Khan, yeah, potentially, he's could have been a questionable pick, maybe Bishnoi above him. But then the fact that Jadeja bowled just 2 overs and Chahal was expensive, in hindsight, that decision proved to be a good one. So, yeah, no complaints. Avesh Khan, I won't really read much into his figures because I don't think he's going to make the T20 World Cup squad. No disrespect to him. There's Harshal coming in, and Cheher is also in the mix. So I don't really see him there. So I'm not really reading too much into his figures. But Jadeja bowling just 2 overs is, very interesting, because it again makes you think whether he is that kind of he's been able to make us leave his mark in test cricket, not so much in T20I. So again, him bowling 2 overs yesterday is like he's not the main players in the side. It just makes you
Yeah, I mean,
wonder.
the only thing I'd say about that is it gives you that option, doesn't it? Because Hardik sometimes can be expensive in white ball cricket.
Yeah.
And if Hardik bowls a couple of really expensive overs, then where are you going to get your the rest of your overs if you're not going to give him his full four? Who bowls the rest? So that gives you that flexibility, I suppose. And the fact that Hardik was bowling so well, it meant that Jadeja didn't need to bowl his full quota, and Hardik could take those extra two. And that's just the way it crumbled yesterday. In terms of India with the bat, team selection first.
But
Go on.
then one more point with Jadeja. He's not really the best T20I bowler. So, and his batting, okay, yesterday he scored a handy 30 odd runs, but is it something which probably an Akshar Patel can't do, or is it something which a Deepak Huda can't do? So, um, I'm not very sure that his spot is fixed in this 11
It
right
seems
now.
as though he's the man in possession at the moment, though. So we'll keep a close eye on that
Yeah.
through this Asia Cup and then obviously into the T20 World Cup and see what India decide. But in terms of the team selection, then with the bat, so obviously he's one of that batting lineup and in the side as a finisher, essentially. KL Rahul was back. We knew he would be at the top of the order. We knew they'd go with Kohli at 3.
Yeah.
They're just going back to basically what they've trusted for quite a few years now. And a terrible start. KL Rahul gone for a golden duck. It was a quick delivery from Nasim Shah.
Yeah.
It just beat him for pace off the inside edge and, stumps flying everywhere. Zinga Bales lighting up. And then Kohli comes in, has a flash at one outside the off stump. The whole of India takes a deep breath,
Yeah.
and then the catch is dropped. A difficult chance. It was flying at such pace. But I mean, again, it just goes to show that it's the unknown, the fact that India don't play Pakistan regularly. They've never seen Nasim Shah. It was his T20I debut, so he's never played this form before, but has played Test cricket, of course, and has been on the scene for a couple of years now, still very young. Raw pace, and it seemed to have really troubled India early on with that new ball when it was hard. They didn't have a clue, and were you thinking this is, there's no Shaheen Shah Afridi, but this is a flashback to the T20 World Cup, isn't
Yeah.
it? Just lose a couple of early wickets and it's game done.
Yeah, that's what I tweeted also. Just imagine if Shaheen Afridi was in the bowling attack. It would have just been a mess for India, so to say. KL Rahul looked rusty yesterday. Like he was very late to the ball, and then probably he's not had enough match practice. Also, that's why I had spoken about this in a podcast earlier, where during the Zimbabwe series, I had criticized his move to not open in one of the matches. Gill opened, I think it was in the first ODI, because I was like, he is in the Asia Cup squad, so he should come out to open and bat as much as he can, because obviously he's playing against the Pakistan Pacers, so he needs some time there. He looked a little rusty, still needs time to get going. And yeah, Virat Kohli began with a few misses, first 2 3 balls, and it was just, yeah,
Yes.
heartbeat had stopped for a second. But yeah, he looked decent after the break which he has had. Um, Obviously didn't score at the fastest rate, but he had to like anchor the innings after the loss of KL Rahul's wicket, especially with the bowling being so deadly at the so won't really criticize him. He was playing on the back foot more, which has been an issue. He's just on the front foot, playing everything on the front foot. But yet yesterday he was on the back foot. He was defending the ball also. So the break seems to have worked, and hoping that he can be in his
Yeah, he
prime very
seemed to
soon.
just be walking with that little bit more air of confidence towards the end of that innings as well. And it, we
Yeah.
talk about strike rates and things, but in the second innings, when you're chasing a relatively low target, it's a decent enough target. Sometimes if you take early wickets, you can, it can be competitive, 147, 148. But the fact that it's not a massive target, I
Yeah.
think, he played the situation well. He played some very lovely shots. And, first match of the tournament,
especially with especially with Rohit Sharma,
yeah,
struggling. He batted with a strike rate of 66. So there was only so much that Kohli could do. And so there's been a lot of criticism regarding his strike rate and everything. But yeah, it was a very handy knock. So I'd reserve the judgment for this
wait till he
innings
gets
for
100
now.
against Hong Kong. Then we can all celebrate Kohli again. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Hoping,
But obviously another
yeah.
failure for KL, like we mentioned. But in
Also,
the middle
yeah.
order, no Rishabh Pant. They went for DK as the keeper.
Also, yeah, one more thing I wanted to add on Kohli was that how he spoke about his it's not really related to the match yesterday, but the way he spoke about his mental health issues in an interview earlier, I think deserves a lot of credit, because in India mental health is still a very taboo subject. You don't talk about it. You are trolled for being mentally weak. It has happened when Kohli has taken the paternity leave. He's just been, criticized that he's not putting country first, etc., etc. And it's still a very touchy subject in India. In 2014, Kohli had said that he was having these mental issues, but he couldn't really speak up then. He didn't feel he was at the place to speak up about it. So for a player of his stature to come out now and express that he was mentally not at his best, I think is a very bold step, and kudos to
Absolutely,
him
yeah,
for that.
100%. We see it more and more internationally now with sportsmen and women being able to talk about these things. And it's so important because it's such a difficult thing, isn't it? Being an international cricketer, traveling all around the world, being
Yeah.
apart from your family at various times, which he has been over the years. I know now he tries to travel with Anushka, and it makes it a little bit easier just having your partner there and being in that situation. But yeah, kudos to him for speaking up about it. And hopefully, I think if it is a taboo subject in India, then it needs people, it needs role models like Virat Kohli to be able to talk about it, to
Yeah.
make it seem okay to talk about it for everybody else, because there's going to be millions and millions of other people who are feeling these things on a daily
Yeah.
basis. And it needs somebody to bring it out in them that it is okay to talk about this. If you're Joe Bloggs on the street, just normal job, normal day-to-day routine, the public aren't going to know about it, so you don't need to be embarrassed on that front. Might not even need to tell your family about it, but there will be someone, and it needs to be made aware, I suppose, where you can go for this help, and free counselling sessions available, or groups which you can attend which talk about these things. So yeah, very important issue, mental health in international cricket, and great for him for speaking about it as well. We'll talk about Pant and Dinesh Karthik and that selection in just a second, but just another reminder that if you want to hear more from the world of cricket, then head over to the 99.94 app, and you can hear all our podcasts and also our commentary as well. We are the home of cricket audio online. We're adding new shows and covering series, and the best way to follow us is via our app or on social media at 99.94 DM. Welcome to Cricket's Conversation. So Rishabh Pant out of the side. You alluded to that in the previous episode as well. You thought they'd go down that route. I mean, there's a potential to play both of them, isn't there, depending on what you do with the rest of the batting order. The only issue is you can't drop Suryakumar Yadav, the form he's in at the moment. Do you drop KL Rahul and move Kohli up to open? That could have been another option, but no Rishabh Pant. he's not got the best T20 record going. He's more successful in the longest format. But given all his talent, given what he offers as a character out there on the field as well, behind the stumps, his skills, as a wicket keeper as well, and just the ability he has to finish off games, and if he gets going, he can do things that nobody else on the field can with the bat. Were you surprised? I mean, look, DK only got, he was only out there for a very short time in the last over, but was that a surprise or not really?
So with Pant, I'm not really sure. Like, I want to get into this in a little more detail. So what works for Pant in the 11, why he should be, and what doesn't work for Pant, kind of. So Pant, he scores, like, he needs time to get into his groove. So he can't really be the finisher in the side. Uh, he can't bat at 5, 6, 7. You can't expect him to score um 50, 50 of 20 balls in the last overs. Whenever he scored between 15 and 20, his strike rate is less than 100 on 5 occasions, which means that he needs still 20, 25 runs. He needs time to get in, and then after that he can get going, which probably means the best spot for him is in the top 4. But then the top 3 already has KL Rahul, Kohli, Rohit Sharma, who are also these kind of batters. Like, they need time to get going. They need. We saw it yesterday. We saw with Rohit Sharma and Kohli yesterday that they need some time to get going. They're not like the Surya Kumar Yadavs or the Hardik Pandya. So having Pant in the 11 means a top 4, because I don't see Pant batting at 5 or 6. I think 4 is the best spot for him because of the reasons I mentioned. He needs time to get going.
I think two's the best spot for him. I think he should
Yeah.
open. He has done it. They've
Yeah.
tried it. KL Rahul
Yeah.
could be the one. Well, would have to be the one to go.
I was just doing an
you can't-
article on that. I was just writing an article on that saying that Punch should open. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I honestly think that is the best place for him because,
Yeah.
in those power play overs, he can take that little bit more risk,
Yeah.
even if he skews a couple into the outfield. There's, not going to be fielders out there to take those catches, so he can take those risks. He can play proper shots as well. He's not just a big hitter. He can play the drives and he can just pierce the gaps. And I think that would suit him if they gave him a run of doing that. And
Yeah.
it may be the case that they think, look, it's probably too late now to get him into that role ahead of this World Cup. Maybe after this World Cup, they'll look at that once again and think, how can we get him into the side in that top order and batting, opening the innings? And I honestly think that would be a great place for him to bat. And he doesn't even have to take the gloves if you're going to play DK as well.
Yeah.
Or even if you're going to play KL and bring him down the order, which I don't think they should do. But if they're going to play DK, he could take the gloves, take that pressure off Rishabh if he's going to open the batting as well, and just let him do his thing. So there's options. But look, we saw DK have a brief stay at the crease. So look, this is what it crumbled down to. 7 needed off the last over. Jadeja's out off the first delivery. We were all thinking, oh, bloody hell, here we go again. There's another twist in the tail. And then DK comes in, pulls a single, which initially I thought might be going to the boundary, but no, straight to the fielder out on the rope. So 6 needed off 4, Hardik on strike, and just the attitude, I mean, the aura that guy has, especially now after coming back from injury. He's the captain of the Gujarat Titans. He's just led them to the IPL. He's not got that same ego, I don't feel, as he had before, but he's still got the confidence, and you wouldn't even say arrogance, but you'd almost say just high level of confidence out there. He just believes in everything he does. DK was having a chat to him, and just the nod that he gave, just so nonchalant, like, don't worry, I've got this. And bang, next ball 6, game done. What was all the fuss about? So it was a brilliant finish, wasn't it? But it was pretty nervous stuff when Jadeja got out of that first ball at the final over.
Yeah, so again, coming back to the Pant point, which I had, if realistically India are going to play KL Rahul, like till the T20 World Cup, at least KL Rahul is going to play as an opener, I would want someone else, I probably Kohli or even Pant. But right now, I think KL Rahul is there. So it means that will Pant keep missing out, because Pant has a very good record against Spain, especially left armers in the middle overs, which Jadeja does not have, and Jadeja is the only left armer in the top 6 or 7 for India right now. Yesterday he was promoted to number 4, which was kind of a not the best move, I would say, because Jadeja has a strike rate of 88 in the middle overs against all kind of spin, and he struggled against spin yesterday. Being very honest, Pant has not done very well against them, but in the IPL he has a strike rate of 147. T20Is he's not done very well, so to break that right hand, like r- run of right-handed batsmen coming in, Pant is a better batsman than Jadeja any day. And if you are promoting Jadeja up the order, then why not have a Pant? Obviously, then comes in the whole angle of Pant chipping in with a few overs. So is does DK miss out? But then DK has done very well in his role. So yeah, it's a very tricky thing for India. Um, let's see how it goes. And also about the Hardik Pandya thing which you spoke about. Do you think he's the best T20I bats? He could end up as the best T20I cricketer for India, because yeah, there have been Dhonis, there have been the Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar is there, but for his Bumrah obviously, but for his all-round potential and just that confidence, hoping he can be the captain, because he's done very well with that aggression and everything. Do you think he can be the
Yeah,
best?
I think he should first and foremost be India's next white ball
Yeah,
captain. Once Rohit decides to either hang up his bat in those formats or just after this World Cup, maybe who knows? There's no point in Rohit carrying on, because he might not be around playing for the next T20 World Cup, or even if he is, he might not be good enough to play that format of the game based on who's coming through from the Indian side. So I reckon they should give it to Hardik. And you're right. I mean, if he's not going to play Test cricket as well,
yeah,
puts everything into this. Fitness is the key, isn't it? As it always is with Hardik Pandya. We were talking years ago about him potentially being the next Kapil Dev in Test cricket, and it didn't quite happen, and the injuries happened, and he couldn't bowl, and he probably will never be able to bowl long spells of bowling in Test cricket. And if he doesn't bowl in Test cricket, his value goes down. He's not good enough, I don't think, to be an out and out number 6 in Test cricket and score centuries on a regular basis. So it's going to be white ball cricket, and I think he could be an all-time great in both formats. Like you say, we talk about Dhoni, Kohli for what he did for so many years. In terms of the bowling, Bumrah is going to be right up there as one of the greatest the world has ever seen. But Hardik has just got something special, hasn't he?
yeah.
And as a leader, I think that's what has brought the best out of him in terms of temperament as well. Because before he was brash, he was a young kid. Yeah, he had that confidence, but he was almost arrogance at times. And if it didn't come off, he used to get loads of stick because of the way he carried himself on and
That
off the
coffee with
field.
Karan
And
episode
yeah,
was,
coffee with
yeah,
Karan didn't help. I mean, KL kind of got dragged into that. It was
yeah,
more Hardik, wasn't it? With, all the bragging about going to the parties and
yeah.
telling his mum all these kinds of things, which I think, I can't think of many other, you know, um, men of that age talking about women
Yeah,
like that to their mums and their mums agree. It was all
yeah.
weird. It was a weird situation. They shouldn't have done it. They're ill advised, but that
But
was him back then.
Hardik Pandya later said that his ban after that, it changed. It was obviously a blot on his career, but it changed his career also, because after that he realized that he is that icon and he needs to get his priorities in place. So that episode kind of turned to be a career changing one for him. So if
And
it
let's not forget
something
also
came of
that,
it, yeah,
yeah, he's now married. He's got a
yeah,
kid. He's a dad. That does change a man, and
yeah,
it seems to have worked wonders for him. that extra responsibility. He seems to thrive off that. And that's what he needed. I mean, for some people, when they get this extra responsibility, they find it very difficult being a captain, being a father, being a husband. It doesn't come naturally to everyone. But for him, it seems as though he's thriving off that. He's confident that he can deliver everything that is asked of him, both in his home life and particularly when leading the Gujarat Titans and being a senior player now in India's white ball formats as well. So he could go on. I mean, look, he bowls with pace, decent enough pace. He can bowl short. He can bowl at the death of the innings. He can bowl early on. He can bowl 2 overs and, just fill in if you need him to. He can bowl the full 4. He can bowl a 10-over spell in ODIs and come out with good figures, as we saw in the England series. He can come in and finish an innings with the bat. He's
he can
a
bat
brilliant
at
fielder.
number 4 also. We
He
saw in the
can.
IPL.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So he can come in at the top of the order. And he's such a flexible cricketer and just brilliant at everything he does when he's in form like this. So long may it continue. And they look
And
a
there's
completely different
something-
side with him
yeah.
in there.
And there's just something about, especially fast bowlers coming back from an injury and then doing so well. Hardik Pandya, even Bhuvneshwar Kumar, he's been struggling with injuries so often. Probably the reason why his test career also ended up well short. It's just so heartening to see these fast bowlers because it's tougher for them to just come back and override all these obstacles and then do well. So with both Bhuvi and Hardik Pandya.
Indeed. So Hardik Pandya then leading India to victory with that 6 to finish things off. We're not going to say finishes off in style just yet. It wasn't a final, so we're not going to go all
He
Ravi
did talk
Shastri.
about how Dhoni has impacted his career. So Dhoni would be the happiest.
Not a bad person to mimic as well,
Yeah.
with the 6 to finish things off. So look, India and Pakistan, it's one match down, as you say. They're going to play again unless Hong Kong beat Pakistan or indeed beat India. And it's just not going to happen, right? So we expect them to play each other again in the Super Fours. That'll be more of a pressure situation as well because they'll be against 2 other decent teams who've got through from the other group. It's looking like Afghanistan might be one of their sides right now after thumping Sri Lanka in the first match. What a victory that was. So India's next game on Wednesday against Hong Kong. Pakistan have to wait until Friday to take on Hong Kong, and then it's going to be into the Super Fours, and everyone in that stage plays each other once again. So another India-Pakistan game to look forward to there, and potentially you think in the final, but you never know. It could be someone else. We'll just wait and see, but we'll bring you more as the Asia Cup continues. But as it is, we've both got smiles on our faces because it's 1-0 to India in this particular Asia Cup. And fingers crossed that they can beat Hong Kong in style. I'd like to see them, Sarah, just quickly, I'd like to see them bat first against Hong Kong. Give everyone a hit.
Especially
everyone might not get a hit if they don't
needs
lose
it.
wickets. But somebody like a KL Rahul needs
it. Yeah.
time at the crease, bit of confidence. I'm not saying Hong Kong are just whipping boys. They've got some decent cricketers. It won't be easy. But, India should fancy their chances of getting a big total, getting
Even
the
Rohit
openers
Sharma,
some time at the crease.
Even Rohit Sharma struggled in the last match. Kohli is still coming off a break. So hoping the top 3 gets a decent run against Hong Kong. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, hopefully that's the case. We'll wait and see how that one goes. But as far as this episode is concerned, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back soon.